Coming to you live from the Pensado Theater at the all-new SAE Los Angeles campus. Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Studio 202 DC, Avid, and The Recording Connection.
Dave and I and Chongo are on the road. We're heading to the airport in just a second. We got a great conversation with a longtime friend. He's a star of Fast and Furious, but music's at his heart. You're going to meet him and his engineer in the unique way they record. Updates on the Pensado Awards, a cool conversation Dave has with Gavin Lurson, who we have tremendous respect for, and a giant, Shelly Yakas. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place.
Guys, it's heating up. We're getting close. A lot going on. Herbert,
I feel nervous. Like, do you? Like it's coming, right?
Yeah. It's pick a natural disaster. It's coming like a hurricane, a typhoon, a tsunami.
It's us. We're natural disasters. But
a creek's about to rise.
It is.
Just whatever you want to call it. It's happening.
It's on its way. Should we talk about it a little bit?
Let's do it.
Hey guys, really good to see you. Dave and I and Chongo are on the road. We've been in meetings with our publishers. Hal Leonard, by the way, is incredible. Mm-hmm. Shout outs to all the guys we met. Incredible. Likes and subscribes. Obviously, we certainly appreciate it. All of our sponsored partners, you know them. Vintage King, Blackbird Academy, Recording Connection, Isotope, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Studio 202 DC, Avid, love you. We always bring it up because you're always there for us.
Don't forget Wisconsin cheese.
Wisconsin cheese. Oh, and by the way, you heard us mention Chevy Chauvelin. You guys have heard us mention Chevy?
Chevy.
We had a chef's dinner. His brother's the executive chef at the Iron Horse Hotel. The restaurant's called Smith's in Milwaukee. Do not get it twisted. This boy can flat out burn. We had a marvelous dinner. Shout outs to the Chauvelin family. Yeah. To Jan Chauvelin back in Detroit. Your boys are doing their thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pensado Awards. Look, it's here. The tickets are rolling. August 30th. Culver City lot. Sony Movie Studios. Dave just pointed out the Pensado Awards. Lots of cool people. Lots of cool things. Mm-hmm. Go to pensadoawards.com. You can get all the information that you need here. Next week, we'll announce the nominees for Unique Project Studio. Great submissions. Hurry up and get some more in. We'll also announce the nominees for the Air Awards. We're getting great submissions from there, too. We are super excited. Mixmaster Mike and I and Dave just got off the phone. Incredible. We've got all kinds of fun. We're just going to have a good time. Please come.
Please.
Go pensadoawards.com. You'll get all the information you need. You know, ladies, we want you there. Guys, we want you there. Yes, we're going to party afterwards. Yes.
That's pensadoawards.com.
There you go.
That's kind of professional, wasn't it?
That was, and particularly the way you're touching my leg.
You like it, big man?
I think I kind of did it, actually. So, guys, come one, come all. We're having a good time. Dave, you had a very interesting conversation with Gavin Lurson, who we think sort of sees down the road about things, and Shelly Yakas, correct?
It came about because you and I were talking about the fast pace with which a lot of things are changing in our world of audio. We wanted to clarify a couple of things about how things were changing and how the new was coming in, and how the existing practitioners felt about it. So we assembled two of my heroes. When you think of the great A&M studios, you think of Shelly Yakas. When you think of quality mastering in today's world, you think of Gavin.
Absolutely.
We got him in an octagon. Just let him duke it out.
Absolutely.
And I refereed it.
You did.
Man, I learned some. I started to cuss, but I learned a lot of stuff. And I had a blast doing it.
All right. Check it out, guys.
Hey guys, I'm glad you got to hang out with us today. I'm with a couple of my dear friends and buddies and people I have so much respect for in the industry. Gavin Lurson, thanks for dropping by and chatting with us. Shelly, my man, you know how much I love you. Gavin, you and I were talking recently about the profession of mastering and how not just mastering, but a lot of things have morphed and changed in our profession, and if you're not an early adapter, you might be left behind. Can you expand on that?
Well, I started my career in 1991 with Doug Sachs, and I came in as a wide-eyed college grad, and I took a job as, at that time, what was called a box boy. Maybe today more appropriately should be called a box person. Box boy meant you make the boxes that the lacquers go in and get stacked
like
up and ship out to the like a pizza box. So I learned the process through him. He was my first introduction to what this whole process was, and very soon came into the market sound tools. If you remember sound tools, which
Of course,
then became
I bought it.
Then became
10
Pro
grand
Tools.
for 2 tracks.
Oh, yeah.
In 1990s money, I bought it.
And then when it became Pro Tools, I was still getting into things, and I saw everybody throw up their arms, reject it, push it away. I'm never going to get into that. I'm never going to touch it. And then very slowly, I saw a group of people around that circle that I was in start to figure out how to integrate the digital nature of it into the analog nature of our current setup. So the integration and the gain structure from that process really was when it started getting adopted. It's a tool that came in that took some years to get adopted, and it's now part of the everyday vernacular. So I see, I see the whole world going digital, not just the audio business, but everything's going digital. It's easy to resist it. It's easy to see what's wrong with it. But I think my personal attitude and where I came from and how I started in my career, I've always tried to come in every day and bring what's new into what I know, try to integrate it, and bring what I know to it to help boost the standards of it. I'm lucky enough to have built a career where I get accepted into certain circles where we can have discussion groups and community building that has something to do with how these things can improve. But if you reject this stuff, I think what happens is groups of people build these tools and will create their own reality. I think if we integrate as a community into it, it ups the standard of it.
You see a future for online mastering?
I do.
I know that's a broad term, and there's some bad and some good, but
Well, in the sense of, in the same Pro Tools argument, what that tool did was it opened up the ability for people to create. It made a much larger group of people. It took a little exclusive group of people that were making records and greatly broadened that group. It was more about inclusivity instead of exclusivity. Now tools were available to people very inexpensively to create music. Sure, there can be some negative implications to how that music sounds, but I think that integration ups that standards. So I think to bring it, to bring a tool into to a specific process in the chain of record making. Conceptually, I think it's important to do that to give the opportunity to greater groups of people, entry-level people coming into the business. It widens the ability for people to create.
Shelley, do you agree with that?
Oh, yes. I think Gavin is really very progressive in terms of, in terms of his thinking, and I really like how he sees it, and some of the brief conversations we had
I think it's a
really fit into where I think it's all going.
You partnered recently with Larry Rickman and started a company that's kind of featuring some of the things that we're talking about here. Can you describe that partnership and relation, how it evolves?
Sure. Years ago, Larry and I and his partner, Dan Lowe, got involved, and Jimmy Iovine got involved with 3D sound, Q Sound.
Yeah.
And then we all went on from there. And then a number of years ago, Larry called me and said, "I'm starting on a new project. These My Studios are something that I'd like to have you get involved in. Help us get it to sound right. and would you come out to Arizona and see what we have? And I flew out, and we talked about getting these studios to sound correct. It was a small space. Very, as you know, small spaces are very difficult, and we figured it out. Together we worked on it and came up with something that really made a small space sound like a big space to a microphone. And I brought in this technology that became known as Aftermaster, and then Larry and I worked on it together. And this technology is basically a way to take music, whether it's just mixed or whether it's pre-mastered or mastered, and take it further than has been traditionally possible in volume and size and depth. And the good thing about it is it's musical. It really works. We really have tried to keep it musical, and we've been able to make a lot of clients very happy.
Yeah, I've played with it as a method to send off mixes that haven't been mastered, but I know are going to be critically listened to, and I'm pretty happy with that. But there's a myriad of uses for this product. It sounds like something that's good for the enthusiast to kind of get a head start on an affordable mastering. Does it replace Gavin? Absolutely not.
No, absolutely.
But is it another tool that you can use? Absolutely yes. One of the things about this product that I found really fascinating is you guys have squarely taken Aftermaster Pro and given it to the enthusiast as a really affordable product, but you also have incorporated into like a tiny little integrated circuit that I can put in my hand that can be put in hearing aids. It can help people that don't have complete hearing, and I know that's probably a loss for the company. Don't answer that question, but I think that's admirable. That shows your humanity.
It's not a
and
loss
that
at all.
Oh, great.
No, it's
I was
a
just talking
great
about
thing
just
for us.
the incorporation for hearing aids and that, but that's a great thing. It feels like Gavin said, it feels like every month there's a new technology that scares the hell out of me, and that's when you got to suck it up and go, okay, I got to master this, So
I
your
don't want you getting
thoughts?
too comfortable.
Yeah.
You can never get too comfortable.
I
with
hope
anything.
not. I'm cutting you off, and I apologize, but I've always felt that it's better to sound new than sound good, and nobody ever remembers the second part of that sentence, which is do both. Why not sound good and new,
You know, the bottom line is, I tell people this when they come and see me, because I provide a specific service to people. If you have a good song that sounds bad, more people will buy it than a bad song that sounds good.
100%.
And we say
I'm
this
the
all
poster child for that, by the way.
if you have a good song that sounds good, you've got gold. So, if you consider the amount of people on the planet, 7 billion people, and then look at the amount of people that go into professional environments, professional studios. It's a very small percentage. Now you're getting recording technology in Apple operating systems that allow you to multi-track. So it opens up the ability for any one of the 7 billion that have access to a basic operating system to create art, to create music, to create drawing, painting, whatever. All these computer operating systems are offering this. So, if you look at the 70s and 80s and 90s, and you look at the people that were able to create a song and release it commercially, perhaps there's somebody with even better songs that never had the opportunity, that live in a bedroom in Wyoming. They're 15 years old. They've got some amazing creation that then goes out to the fans. If you can judge a culture by its arts. So if you have an ability
That's
now,
deep.
inexpensively, to get somebody who's a brilliant artist, they can they can distribute and even market for almost nothing now this art that could enrich our lives and create a better culture. So it's kind of a cultural issue if you look at it.
I guess so.
These tools need to go out there. They need to be embraced. A lot of my colleagues look with a wary eye on these technologies that come up. I think it's important that we collaborate and get them to be the highest standard that they can.
Yeah, I think that's. I know you're involved in making sure the standards are as high as possible. Do you kind of agree with what Gavin's saying?
Oh, absolutely. What I like about what Gavin is saying is that there are very few people paying attention to the unsigned and independent artists. And you were talking about people who are making music in there, whether it's their home studio or their bedroom or whatever. And we get files from people who are doing this all the time, and they don't put any less love into their creation than a record label does. They deserve to have the same volume and sound and come on as a record company product. Otherwise, they can't compete. And that's where ProMaster came from, which is actually an offshoot of Aftermaster. And ProMaster allows these unsigned artists to send the song through online for a very modest price. I mean, it's between $30 and $35 to master their song. That we mastered this song for them, and they're going to get back competitive level. They're going to get back everything that they would like in a mastering, and they have some choice. They get back 3 choices. If they don't like any of those choices, they haven't paid anything. If they like it, then they pay for one of the choices, and they can get back all 3. But my point about agreeing with Gavin is that there are very few professional places that are on Gavin's level that will work with unsigned bands price-wise. And if you think about it, there are only, I'm going to just say less than 1,000 signed artists that are making records at any one time. It's probably actually only a few hundred, but there are millions and millions of unsigned artists and independent artists who are making music. They want to get their music out to an agent, a potential manager, a club owner, and what a lot of them don't realize is that what that club owner heard just before they put on this artist's piece of music is they heard a mastered piece of music, because everyone is mastering. If you don't master with us, master with somebody. But they just heard a mastered piece of music, and if you don't master, it's going to sound like a P next to them. And frankly, even if you have a good song, unfortunately, it's not going to come across the way it should, just because of this big level difference and sound difference. And just to add, I mean, I have so much respect for really good mastering guys. They've saved my ass a lot of times.
Me too.
I
built a career because of that. Well, guys, listen, thanks for hanging with us. I'm going to go hook up my version of After Mixer and take the rest of the day off. One of the things that I think you should take away from this conversation is that don't be afraid of the new. It's fun and scary to live in the new, but that's the only way society can progress, a la what Gavin was saying, and that's the only way our creativity can be enhanced and progress. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Herb, I wanted to take this introduction because you've got to be proud of your association with Tyrese and how big a part of his career you've been, and he acknowledges it in the piece we're about to see. So introduce it, buddy.
Lucky enough, years ago, I ran into this 19-year-old kid. I was blown away at his Coke commercial. Became a trusted advisor, helped get him signed. He has been a consistently amazing guy. He's one of the stars of Fast and Furious, but at his heart is nothing but music. You're going to meet him and his engineer, Richard Furch. Richard was literally the first professional who saw me scratching out this idea for Pensado Awards at a sushi bar in Encino. There's a lot of history here. Last part, Tyrese is good enough to join us, but I can tell you personally, in 19 years, this cat has not changed one bit, is as gracious and as smart as he ever was when I first met him 19 years ago. Super proud of him. Enjoy our conversation. So I have the pleasure of going way back with our guest who you're about to meet. A lot of people do know, and some people may not know, that in this heart, you may know him as an action star and as somebody who's got incredible comedic timing. But the reality of it is, this is a music guy who loves music, started out making music, was discovered because he was musical, and has used that as a bridge to move forward, but has never lost his music. It's such a pleasure to meet a good friend of all of ours and a great guy, Tyrese. How are you, brother?
What's up, everybody? What's happening?
Everything's cool, man. Great you could make it, man.
So,
Happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me on. Anything for Richard Furch and Herb Trawick.
man, listen, I'm amazed at, which I so appreciate, the mere fact that you can work with Richard Furch. Like, I have sushi with Richard Furch all the time, and it took me about 50 or 60 salmon rolls to understand his accent. And the fact that you can get through that and decipher that and have hits. You are sitting on #1 records right now. Describe the symbiosis between you and Richard and how that works and makes your life easy as a music person.
Well, I don't understand him either. He just pressed all the right buttons.
It's all communication. I see.
See, that makes me feel better because
You
I
got
have
sign
not.
language, and then you got people that know how to press the buttons.
There you go.
Studio. So no, I mean, listen. There, in my opinion, I think most people who have a particular engineer that they work with, they would probably feel the same way. But I don't think there's anybody hands down that could touch Richard Furch. Period.
Yeah.
I say that with all levels of confidence. I feel like I struggle when I record if I'm not recording with Richard. And I just feel like, I think that when it comes to making art, like what we love to do in music, you have to be in the studio in these private, these very personal and intimate spaces in your recording studio with someone that has the right vibrations and can speak your language and make the necessary adjustments that's needed along the way. Even if it's some things that they may not agree with, they deliver. And that's what Richard Furch has been and always been. My first #1 single was called Stay. Yep. And we actually had a breakdown in Pro Tools while we was recording it. And I said, Richard, that night, the song was #1 for 11 weeks. I said, Richard, the fact that this equipment is breaking down and you've still figured out a way to record me with the latency that had to be a minute and a half long. Real confirmation that we got a hit on our hands.
No question. I was actually around for that hit. And the thing that you notice in your music, and I think comes through in a relationship, is you have sort of the heart of a real R&B singer guy, who that performance is as important live as it is in the studio, that the emotion comes through and so on and so forth. So if somebody doesn't know how to capture you properly, they can't get it onto tape or CD or in a file, right? They have to understand that from you.
Yeah, they definitely got to understand. I mean, listen, I've blown through a lot of different engineers, and most of them just frustrate the hell out of me. I also have a very unconventional, I'm a weird dude just in general, but I have a very unconventional way of recording. I actually record to a click track. So once Richard Furch finds out what the tempo of the song is, I don't actually have music coming through my headphones. I record to a click track. I learn the song. I will sing it 7 or 8 times in a row, each phrase, each melody, each word, and then I grab my favorite piece and put it all into the song. And being as that Richard is pitch perfect, and he's also a pianist and a full-on musician, then I could actually do a bunch of takes of the whole first verse, and then I come back in the room and I'll say, Richard, put a comp together of all of these different vocals that I did to a click track and put it together, puzzle it together. And if he ends up picking a piece of a song that I don't like, or I felt like I could have did better, or maybe I did better, he just didn't select it, then I go back in the vocal booth and re-sing it. And so we did that with Stay, which is now it was #1 for 11 weeks. And now we did that with Shame. which is also #1. And so we did the entire Black Rose album this way. And so it's very frustrating if you're used to recording an artist a certain way. You can find yourself like, damn, I got to sit here and listen to me say, baby, don't go nowhere. It's like this. Baby, don't go nowhere. Baby, don't go nowhere. So I'll do that 8 times in a row, and he'll grab just one of the 8, drop it into the song, and then we move on.
Do you ad lib? Do you ad lib around the click track as well?
Everything, all my ad libs, the talking on the intros, the singing intros. I do everything to a click track. The entire Black Rose album was recorded with no music coming through my headphones.
Wow,
That's amazing.
That's amazing, dude. Wow.
Hey, Tyrese, it's Dave. Man, you do so many things so well. Like you're an amazing actor. You've written a book. You sing. You model. Of all of those things and talents that you have, where would you place music in that process?
I mean, I definitely have an appreciation for all of the other opportunities that continue to present itself, but nothing moves me, nothing inspires me, nothing means more to me than the music. When I'm on a movie set, even though I do write a lot of my own punchlines, and I'll add my own level of funny to the Fast and the Furious, for the most part, the entire movie is somebody else's. It's not my feelings, it's not my thoughts.
Right.
And, you know, I write, I produce. I'm my own little baby version of an engineer that works in conjunction with the real engineer sitting over there to the right or to your left. But, you know, I have a first love, and that's music. That's my only love.
You know what, Tyrese, one of the things, because since I had the pleasure of being involved in the beginning, and, you know, we can talk about that at some point in time, but I also go to your movies, I can tell that you write your own punchlines, because even then those beats feel musical to me, because I know you, the way they drop in. Is that accurate? Am I close there? There's a rhythm to what you do.
Unfortunately, my jokes aren't recorded on a click track. I got to work on that for the next movie.
I was going to ask you about that. Tyrese, I was going to ask you about that.
That's some new shit.
Because there is a timing in acting, just like there is in music. And like when you were snapping, I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, his timing is really good. I guess that's what makes you such a good actor also, particularly comedy.
Well, I mean, you know, I started off in the dramatic space, and that's actually way more of a comfortable place for me. If you guys go online right now and look up the Shame music video, it's actually a short film, which is 25 minutes long, produced by Denzel Washington, starring myself and Jennifer Hudson, and directed by Paul Hunter.
Nice.
And it was a movie that I wrote, and it's just based on I have these characters that popped up in my head because of this song, Shame. And it's a very dramatic, dark piece, just like Baby Boy, just like Four Brothers, just like Waist Deep and Annapolis. So I really love the dramatic space. And when it comes to the funny, anybody who knows me knows that I love cracking my jokes and just making sure that everybody's having fun, because the more you climb up the success ladder, you'll find that so many people could be billionaires and millionaires, and they're just stressed and borderline depressed and damn near suicidal because of all of the pressure of being successful.
Yes, indeed.
But I just don't believe in being too serious. I'm very intense, but I believe in having fun and creating and finding the perfect balance. So, you know, when I do the Fast and the Furious, that's one of the colors. That's a place that I can comfortably go. Mm-hmm. As far as the timing, you know, that's just what it is. I mean, you hope that after doing a scene a couple of different times that they roll with your best take. But yeah, I mean, I love the funny. I love making people laugh. When I graduated from high school, I was class clown, man. I was just like, we do.
It's interesting that because I've seen all the movies from the beginning, and just general, I get to go as a fan, even though I know you. I have noticed that in the dramatic space, that gear is different. And then the sort of punch beat rhythm of comedy that you would put in Fast and Furious is a whole other thing. And then I even see that kind of in your musical choices, that a Tyrese ballad, to me, when I hear a Tyrese ballad, I can see the live performance when I hear the song. I literally can see what you're gonna do on stage, and then you always piss me off because your DNA physically, you just could walk out and people just start going nuts and all that. Man, there's nothing worse than going to dinner with Tyrese.
You're
You'll
saying
get
that I have a couple
no
muscles.
attention whatsoever at all from anybody.
You're saying that I have a couple muscles, sis.
Yeah, but no, what pisses me off is you've maintained them for 20 years. I was okay at 19, but I saw you interviewed the other day
Did a
in New
music
York.
video, and I had to borrow Richard's muscles, and
And German muscles are
me.
serious.
Gave it back to him last week. They did really well for me. Thanks again, Rich.
You got that.
So Richard, speak to the relationship from your perspective, that you've gotten to know this guy over time, and it's a relationship that's very personal, correct?
It is. It is. We've been working together for 13 years, something like that.
Wow.
And many specific situations to get albums done. Different places in life where you say one is a major label album, one is an album that Tyrese is putting his rap alter ego in. Mm-hmm. And right now he's doing it all himself for the last 2 albums, with considerable success, of course. Mm-hmm. And what I see between us, what works so well, is just trust, understanding. We've been at all these places together.
Right.
We've shouted at each other through those songs, and we're like, no, it has to go there. And I've never seen Tyrese not put out a song where he would just say, "Oh, that's good enough," or "I'm done here." Mm-hmm. No, we will do what he just explained, the click track, let's comp it, let's find the best take, let's do it again, do the click track because you can listen to your own voice much more clearly. You can feel intent and emotion in that performance, but then not be precious enough to say, the song is mixed, and I'm so sorry, but we need to re-record the whole lead vocal again. And everybody's throwing up their hand and go like, oh, seriously. But we do that because we're proud of the product in the end, and we go like, we're not gonna leave this stone unturned. We're not gonna let a deadline just stop us from creating what we think need to be created. Sorry, when I say we, obviously I mean Tyrese.
For all the record executives watching the show, can you repeat that last line again about the deadline part?
I mean, there's realities to deadlines.
Respectfully.
Go ahead and say it.
I was going to say, to add to what Richard just said about the deadline, respectfully, we all look forward to becoming successful entrepreneurs in whatever capacity. And so you don't have to be on the receiving end of these aggressive deadlines, because you can't feed your family and pay your bills unless you get things done in time for the boss's deadline. But when you're your own boss, you move and you got your own rhythm and your own vibe. I mean, I'd like to say that when me and Richard get in the basement of creativity and we pull out this big old pot of R&B gumbo, we're there and we're mixing this thing and we're trying to find all the nuances and the dynamics and a feeling. I think anybody who look online, all of the press and media that I've been doing around this Black Rose album I've been on a mission to remind people of a feeling that I feel is lost. And that feeling is true R&B soul music. And, I think the state of R&B is very insecure right now, where we feel, most of us are not conscious of it, but we feel like our music don't get any attention unless we got 15 rappers all over the album. And, I've been mentioning your name a lot, Herb, because, lately I've been talking about the fact that Shame is #1 on the Billboard. The Black Rose album is #1 for 2 weeks in a row.
Wow.
We came in at top 200, #1,
My man.
#1 R&B. We came in #1 on 9 different categories, including independent release. Me and Richard Furch. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, hold on. Are you telling me that when it comes to mainstream radio, that you're not willing to play my beloved R&B soul song unless Robin Thicke, Sam Smith, or Justin Timberlake sings it?
Wrong. Hell
What's
yeah.
going on here? So if I have a song called Stay and it's #1 for 11 weeks and Sam Smith have a song called Stay, why is my song that's #1 for 11 weeks only being played on Urban AC radio? But Sam Smith is top 40 rhythmic pop crossover and Urban AC radio. So, again, I don't sing for black people. I sing for everybody. I can't tell that man who wants to get married to a man that he can't listen to Black Rose at his wedding.
Right.
Music is for everybody. There is no race, no boundaries, no sexual preferences. You don't go to a Stevie Wonder concert and say because he's black, it's only black people in the audience. So when we're talking about putting this much time and energy into our music and really trying to tap into the essence of R&B and soul, I don't create limits for myself. So I don't appreciate people creating limits for my reach, my audience, my streaming services, my sales. So me and Richard talk about all of this. And I said to Richard, listen, man, I have been through hell and hot water to finish this album. He has been patient with me. He's been my therapist when I had nobody else to talk to. And I'm in this motherfucker, vulnerable, wiped, emotionally wiped out. And he's coming in here with this positive, good energy. He's got his beautiful little one. He's got his wife. He's showing me pictures. Anything he can do to bring my spirits up, because I've been at it. It's a very strenuous thing. Richard goes home and he earns his sleep.
And you know what, Tyrese? It's interesting because as we all speak, beyond the other success elements you have, right now what you're doing with your record, this thing that Dave and I have created that Richard actually heard about maybe first in the engineering community, because we used to have sushi together, and I was sketching out Pensado's place on a napkin while we were sitting there, and we talked about it, and he said, I don't know, you might be crazy, but go for it. So what I wanted to tell you, because in the movie business, or mentioned to you, in the movie business, there's always this argument about things that star black people won't work internationally, and Fast and Furious and your involvement in that has blown through that. I find the same thing about R&B music, that oftentimes R&B music is more celebrated overseas than the radio gatekeepers here that get in the way. You agree?
I do, but I also think that a lot of fans that are overseas, and I say this respectfully, I think a lot of fans overseas get way more excited about stuff that we get very familiar with.
Yeah.
And so many stars in LA, when you see another one, you're like, okay, whatever.
Right.
You take that same star and you go overseas, and they got freaking 5,000 people waiting outside of their hotel.
Can't walk through the streets.
I just think at the end of the day, because this R&B and hip hop mainly starts here in the US, it's always that much bigger of a deal to get their hands on it overseas. And it goes back to a saying, familiarity breeds contempt. This is a random analogy, but it's random. But imagine seeing a black girl with a fat, juicy ass. That's normal. And then when you see a Latino or a white girl with a juicy ass, you like, oh my God, look at this.
Whole businesses have started over that. Yeah.
So is that what's happening in R&B music?
Kind of.
Where you have a white guy or a non-black that's talented as hell and sing their ass off, and they're singing R&B soul, and then all of a sudden they become an anomaly. They become like this huge event because, oh yeah, black people play basketball. Yeah, we're used to that. So you let a white guy come and he's Larry Bird and he's like, oh my God, did you just see that? I mean, it's like Jeremy Lin ended up on the cover of Time magazine before Kobe Bryant.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like we're just dealing with a very different society. And for me, my number one comes with a message. My album sales come with a message. Me having an R&B album that's 14 songs that only has one rapper on it, which is Snoop Dogg, comes with a message. It was never Marvin Gaye featuring Curtis Blow. It was never Luther Vandross featuring Run DMC. It was never Donny Hathaway featuring Sugar Hill Gang.
Right.
Imagine if Donny Hathaway came out and said, I've been so many places in my life, and I've been so many places in my life. What?
That's
What just happened?
That's the funniest stuff I ever heard in my life.
Oh, that is so true, Tyrese.
Who is this dude just came from behind the curtain rapping after Donny Hathaway just finished this damn song? You know what's crazy, Richard? I forgot to tell you this. Somebody hit me on, they wrote a review on iTunes, which was beautiful and very inspiring. They said, I can't believe I'm listening to a full R&B album. And more importantly, I don't remember the last time I heard a bridge.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's sad.
And, I don't remember the last time I heard a bridge on an R&B song, because normally, oh yeah, the rapper goes here. Hold on, give me 1 second.
That's right.
Before you go into that bridge, 1 second. Rapper, come on in here. This is your part.
That's some of the Fast and Furious comedic timing that you see right there. Absolutely brilliant, Tyrese.
Amazing.
So here's a question for you, man, because as I've watched these interviews, and you have a lot of godfathers that birthed you and so on and so forth, and what little part that I have held. It's interesting because in my dossier, helping to get Tyrese on, and really the story was this. He was in the commercial. I was representing Brian McKnight. Me and everybody else knew he was a star. I ran into him in his management at a club in Century City, and he respected Brian as a vocalist. And we just had a chemistry, and as they went around and shopped, they would just come back and ask my opinion about it. And we developed a friendship, and I was able to connect them and stuff, and they got started. But literally from that point on, the one thing that is a marker is that he as a human being has never changed, being gracious, being who he is, and so on and so forth. And now these big decisions have been made about no more solo records. Will you stay in touch with music as you move forward in ways that make you feel comfortable?
I'm still gonna do music, but that's my last solo album. Right?
There you go. I see.
It's just like, listen, man, I'm
put
the
it out
proud
there.
entrepreneur of a company called Voltron Entertainment, and we are in the thick of 43 different projects on various different levels. And I think the older you get, you just decide that you love yourself enough to be smarter with your time.
Yeah, well put.
I just got 50-50 joint legal custody of my daughter after fighting for 3 years in and out of court. In California, don't shit work in favors of the fathers.
That's true.
So, imagine me fighting 3 years, paying for lawyers on both sides, and then saying, well, I'll be home in 6 months. I got to go support music. So it's a different thing right now for me. And there's soundtracks coming up. There's duets. I might do another TGT album with Genuine and Tank.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as another solo album, I'm cool. And to be honest, I think smart people know when to get out.
Yes, very much so.
You know what I mean? I give this analogy all the time. Like, most athletes' egos and most entertainers' egos are so out of control. We always believe that we can outdo what we did last.
Right.
But smart people know how to say, this is it.
Gotta go. I'm out.
Close your laptop, guys. Thank you, sir.
Hey, man.
How to get the fuck out of here.
No
Okay?
question. We love you, man.
Holyfield. Evander Holyfield. That was your last payday.
And
You don't know it, but it was.
And you only have one ear left.
You should be looking around for 4 more houses like you got 5 more fights coming.
Not happening.
That's what I'm saying. So
Right.
we have our own inner champion. That's no disrespect to Holyfield, but we all have our own inner champion. But the people with wisdom, and they're smart, and they're in tune with their spirituality, you know how to put your gauge up and pay attention to what's really going on and know when to get out. So I'm telling you, if I do another solo album, it'll probably underperform compared to what's happening now. I'm leaving with the crown. Fuck
at the
that.
top, baby. At the top. Tyrese, man, we love you. You know, it's a proud thing in my bio personally to be able to say I was involved with your beginning and to just watch.
Listen, you changed my life on so many different levels. It's scary.
Oh man.
You not only connected me with Brian McKnight, who I did every talent show imaginable, singing every song because I looked up to him because I've always been, my mother's told me I've been blessed with a million gifts, and if I unleash them on the world, simultaneously, it'll overwhelm people. Mm-hmm. And so I found myself looking up to people that are multi-talented. So the singer, songwriter, live performance, just all of these different gifts. And so Brian McKnight and R. Kelly and Marvin Gaye and Teddy Pendergrass, like so many different singers that I looked up to when I discovered that I could sing. And there's always the gatekeepers of reality.
Yeah.
I had a reality in my head that I not only wanted to meet, but I wanted to hang out, befriend, and work with Brian McKnight. You were the gatekeeper that gave me access to someone who inspired me and changed my world when I was a kid. And I will never forget that. We will always be, really, really close, regardless of anything that ever happens. And there are certain people that you meet in your lifetime that create these one-of-a-kind significant moments, and you've done that for me. And
that's
I'm grateful.
Huge, man.
And I met Robin Thicke through you because of your fly-ass office in the alley.
It was smoking, and then got him signed too. Here's the other beauty. Just by happenstance, I end up at a sushi place that we both like, and I get to know Richard Furch, who plays a big role in your life. At the time, Anthony Morgan was your early A&R guy who came from my camp. I've had a lot of Tyrese in my life. And the guy that you're seeing now is the guy who has consistently for 20 years been the same way. Yeah. I'm so glad that you work with him because, and I knew we were going to get you on the show. Richard has waited patiently forever because the significance of your work with him and others, a lot of people don't know. And to have him say it, I think is fabulous. We're going to continue talking with you and delve in some more. Reese, we love you. We're here for you. Whatever you need, if we can help you with this record, you got it, man. And
I think the beautiful thing about this platform is it's engineering and mixing and mastering specific. The dialogue is healthy. You guys are changing lives around the world because there's so many people that want to get into this. And, I just believe in using this God-given stage to motivate and inspire the future generations. At some point, y'all are going to get super old and wither away.
It's not that far away.
It's to be a younger generation that are currently in school, studying the greats, and figuring out what to do and how to do it. And the information that you guys continue to share on this show is beautiful. And I'm just grateful that y'all let me come on and speak my piece and shed some light, some very needed light on my good friend Richard Furch. He's multi-Grammy nominated, and I feel like we're finally about to bring home 5 Grammys because it's very true. The depth of your struggle will determine the height of your success.
Whoa.
We went through some shit to get this Black Rose album done. The Grammys is coming home, baby. Let's go.
Congrats, baby. We love you, man. Talk to you later.